At 0637 hours on July 10, 2025, the radar room aboard the USS Sampson lights up with a single fast-moving contact. 380 nautical miles southwest of Acapulco in the middle of a quiet Eastern Pacific patrol corridor. One blip is accelerating hard. The ship's CIC, the Combat Information Center, isn't built for guessing games. Within 20 seconds, watch standers confirmed the signature. A small, low-profile, high-speed vessel hugging the wavetops. A textbook go fast, the kind the cartels favor when trying to outrun nations. There's no call sign, no flag, no response to hails. And the second sign, movement. On the ship's forward FLIR feed, black specks flick off the back of the boat. Packets. Lots of them. That's not fuel. That's evidence being dumped. On the bridge, Commander Matthew Harding doesn't hesitate. It doesn't need a judge or a headline. He needs propulsion and air support. All stations set condition 3. Launch Romeo. Within 90 seconds, an MH-60R Seahawk from HSM 49, call sign Reaper 1, blades up from the flight deck and banks southeast, closing fast. Below, the suspect vessel keeps pushing max throttle, cutting white arcs into the blue water. It's trying to vanish into the horizon. But there's just one problem. This destroyer wasn't here by accident. USS Sampson is deep into Pacific Watch, a high-priority maritime interdiction op targeting long-range drug corridors. And today, the US Navy is about to intercept 58 million worth of narcotics in real time. And the suspects, well, they have no idea what's coming. Reaper 1 surges forward at 120 knots, skimming just 200 feet above the surface. The MH-60R isn't armed for bluffing. On board are door gunners, tracking pods, and a Coast Guard Law Enforcement Detachment or LEDET 104 from the Southwest District. They've trained for this moment 100 times. Today it's live. As the helicopter closes to visual range, the go-fast boat makes its next move. Sudden zigzag turn followed by a full throttle burst westward. It's pushing every horsepower it has. But the rotor blade roar behind it is gaining. The crew starts tossing more cargo. Fast, frantic, and sloppy. One package misses and explodes on impact with the hull. The water flashes white. That's not good for them. Reaper 1's FLIR system locks on. Below, the suspects finally look up. No radio, no response, no slowing down. The decision point has passed. Warning shots authorized. The Seahawk banks hard left. Door gunner swings out. A burst of fire streaks 10 meters off the starboard valve of the boat. The message is crystal clear. Stop now or things escalate. It doesn't work. Suspect vessel still fleeing. Still dumping cargo from the CIC on the Sampson. Commander Harding makes the call. Disabling fire. Disable that engine. Seconds later, the Seahawk swings back in. This time the rounds don't miss. With clinical precision, the gunner strafes the stern. The rounds punch into the outboard motors. One sparks, then dies. The vessel jerks violently, slowing as smoke rises. It's not sunk, but it's done. Now drifting in the open sea, the suspects look up again, this time with their hands raised in the air. But the Navy's not finished yet. Reaper 1 hovers overhead as two ribs scream off the port side of the USS Sampson. On board, VBSS teams visit, board, search, and seizure. Full tactical kit, armed, trained, and moving fast. Within 4 minutes, they'll be on target. And by then, this stop won't just be about contraband. It'll be about arrests, recovery, and legality. Because what happens next doesn't just involve speed. It involves the letter of the law and how a warship hands off authority to a domestic law enforcement arm while still at sea. And that moment is coming pretty fast. The two ribs close in fast. White wakes tearing across the ocean. Within moments, the Coast Guard LEDET and VBSS teams from the USS Sampson reached the disabled Ghost. Rifles up, commands shouted in Spanish and English. No. Resistance. The suspects comply. Two men, mid-30s, sunburned, adrenaline still visible in their eyes, kneel on the slick fiberglass deck. Hands behind heads, eyes fixed on the Seahawk circling above. They're not armed, but what's in the water around them is far more dangerous. Over a dozen tightly wrapped bales float nearby, some half-submerged, others already waterlogged, each one tagged and logged by the boarding team. The LEDET steps forward. As soon as the suspects are secured, the legal handoff happens. Under international maritime law, a vessel without a flag or registration is considered stateless. That means it can be boarded and searched under US jurisdiction. And because this Ghost made no claim of nationality and ignored all warnings, The Coast Guard takes full authority. Field test kits are opened. A sample is cut from one of the soaked bricks. White powder. The team sergeant places the sample on the test strip. Within seconds, bright blue cocaine confirmed. The total haul, 47 bales, approximately 3,439 lb, 560 kg. Estimated wholesale value 58 million. Street value easily triple that depending on the route. The suspects are cuffed and read their rights under U.S. maritime drug enforcement protocols. They say nothing. The boarding team also assesses the ghost's condition. No lights, damaged engines, cracked fiberglass hull, no radio, no life jackets, no way to tow. It's not seaworthy. It's a floating liability. One agent radios back to Sampson. Vessel secure. 2 detainees. Cocaine confirmed. Boat classified as a navigational hazard. The job isn't done. This wasn't just about stopping the boat. It's about what happens next. And that means that the Sampson is about to play a very different role. One that doesn't involve boarding, but destruction. The USS Sampson isn't just randomly cruising the Eastern Pacific. Her presence here is deliberate. It's part of Pacific Watch, a joint maritime security operation led by U.S. Northern Command in coordination with Homeland Security and U.S. Coast Guard Pacific Area Command. The mission is to intercept transnational criminal threats before they reach U.S. shores. That means surveilling high-trust smuggling corridors between Central America and the southern United States. And today that meant being in the right spot 380 miles southwest of Apulco. But stopping a stateless vessel with a warship isn't just about tactics. It's about legal authority. While the Navy has the reach, the firepower, and the mobility to find and stop targets, it can't legally arrest suspects or seize contraband on its own. That's where the Coast Guard LEDET team comes in. A law enforcement detachment is a small specialized team of U.S. Coast Guard agents embedded aboard U.S. Navy ships. Once a suspect vessel is confirmed to be stateless and carrying illicit cargo, operational authority is transferred from the Navy's combat commander, today U.S. 3rd Fleet, to the Coast Guard chain under District 11 in California. It's a quiet but critical handover. In minutes, the mission shifts from combat readiness to law enforcement precision. For the crew of the Sampson, it's routine yet high stakes. This destroyer DDG-102 is an Arleigh Burke-class guided missile ship normally tasked with ballistic missile defense or anti-submarine warfare. But in multi-M mission theaters like Pacific Watch, it flexes. Radar scans go from threat detection to smuggler tracking, and Tomahawk launchers stay dormant while RIBs take the lead. This hybrid model, Navy Muscle Coast Guard Law, has become the gold standard for maritime interdiction. And in this case, it took down $58 million worth of illegal cargo without a single injury. But one problem remains. The go-fast boat itself. Unseaworthy, unsecured, and full of fiberglass shards and engine oil. That's not something you tow back to shore. It's something you send to the bottom. By 09:45 hours, the mission had shifted again from seizure to disposal. The ghost boat drifts quietly beside the Sampsons. Port side, tethered by a single recovery line. But even at rest, it's a problem. The fiberglass hull is cracked wide open along the keel. Its motors are shredded. There's no anchor, no lights, no functional bilge pump, and no safe way to tow it across 380 miles of open ocean. In short, it's a hazard. One rogue swell and it becomes a drifting ghost just waiting to punch a hole in a freighter or knock out a fishing trawler's prop. The Coast Guard officer aboard makes it official. Vessel deemed unseaworthy. Recommended control disposal. Commander Harding nods. Log it. Prepare for scuttling. The USS Sampson doesn't carry demolition charges for fun, but it doesn't need them. Her crew has done this before. The boarding team strips the vessel of anything still usable. Empty fuel cans, GPS mounts, and even the throttle lever. Every recovered kilo of cocaine is already sealed, tagged, and chilled in the evidence freezer. The two suspects sit in the Sampson's holding bay, silent. Then the crew preps a controlled sink. One of the ribs returns, this time carrying a portable charge rigged to the boat's stern. It's not designed to make a bang, just a few small holes, low and precise. At 10:12 hours, a short call comes from the bridge. Detonate on my mark. Mark. A muffled pop. Nothing cinematic. No fireball, just a gurgle. The sea goes quiet again, except for the hum of the Seahawk still overhead. It's not dramatic, it's deliberate. Because when the Navy sinks a drug boat, it's not about show. It's about removing a threat, cleaning up the ocean, and sending a message. You run drugs in international waters, you lose more than just cargo. This wasn't just a bust. It was a blueprint. What played out in the Eastern Pacific on July 10th is exactly how the US projects power without firing missiles or crossing borders. A warship, a helicopter, a boarding team, and a legal handoff. All executed with split-second coordination. But the bigger picture here is deterrence. Cartel logistics rely on calculated risk. Every go-fast boat that makes it through brings in millions in profit. But everyone that gets caught, especially by a destroyer, is a warning to the rest. No route is safe. No distance is far enough. No engine is fast enough. This seizure 380 miles offshore sends a message that's loud and clear. It proves the US isn't just guarding its coastline. It's shaping the battlefield far beyond it. And then there's the ship, the USS Sampson, a guided missile destroyer designed to fight submarines and intercept missiles, now stopping drug runners. That adaptability is no accident. The Navy's multi-M mission doctrine means that these ships can flip roles in literal hours. One day it's ballistic missile defense in the Sea of Japan. The next day it's hunting go-fasts in the Pacific narcotics corridor. It's not just about what the Sampson did. It's about what she represents. Presence, reach, and pressure. Every cartel scout tracking US ship movements just learned something new. Even a warship with billion-dollar sensors might show up in your rear-view mirror and she won't be bluffing. Because when the US Navy shows up, it doesn't chase, it intercepts. No missiles fired, no lives lost, just a Navy destroyer, a Coast Guard team, and $58 million worth of narcotics now off the map. But here's the real question. If you were in command of the USS Sampson and that go-fast boat refused to stop, what would you have done? Disabling fire sooner, block with the ribs, or let the evidence sink and hope for the best? Let us know in the comments your move, Commander. And this isn't a one-time thing either. The Eastern Pacific is actually heating up. And these interdictions, well, they're just getting started. So if you want to see what happens when destroyers play cat and mouse with smugglers, and you want to be the first to know when it goes sideways, join the fleet. You get loyalty badges, priority replies, and help us bring more true maritime stories like this one. Click join on our channel page and get on board because the next time it might not be a drug boat. And hey, if you're ever planning a high-speed run through international waters, maybe don't pick the one with the destroyer in it. Just saying.